Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Terumot. We're up to Perek Vav Mishnah Hey. Today's Mishnah should be Leilun Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Aranbai v'Neriyahu ben Burcha Israelov Menuchatam beGan Eden. Amen. We spoke about in the previous Mishnayot the halakha that if somebody ate Terumah unintentionally, he has to pay back the principal amount of Terumah that he ate, and he also has to pay a fine of 1/5 of the total amount. Today's Mishnah is going to cite some restrictions on the produce that can be used to pay the principal and the fifth. The Mishnah says, "En mishalmin min haleket umin hashicha umin hape'ah umin hahefker." One may not pay with produce that is leket, shicha, or pe'ah, or produce that is ownerless. And Mefarshim explain, leket, shicha, and pe'ah, we learned earlier, are portions of the crop that have to be left over for the poor. And the reason that these portions or ownerless produce cannot be used is because the produce that you use to pay back the principal and the fifth must have once been subject to the laws of Terumah, so that they would have become Terumah if it would have been designated for that purpose. This excludes the produce that we mentioned of leket, shicha, pe'ah, or ownerless produce, because they would have never became Terumah since they're excluded from the halachot of Terumah. The Mishnah continues, "V'lo mima'aser rishon shenitla terumato." You cannot pay with ma'aser rishon whose terumat ma'aser has been separated. Ma'aser rishon is a 10% that goes to the Levi. Terumat ma'aser is a 10% of that the Levi gives to the Kohen. And the reason for this, the Mefarshim explain, since the ma'aser rishon could not have been used as payment because it's terumat before its terumat ma'aser was separated, because it would have been tevel, which is forbidden to eat, it cannot be used as payment even after the separation of the terumat ma'aser. The commentaries have a difficult time understanding this line. Why should these be any different from other produce that was tevel and then I fixed? Same thing here, ma'aser rishon, and then I fixed it by taking the terumat ma'aser. At any rate, the Mefarshim try to deal with that line in the Mishnah. The Mishnah continues, "V'lo mima'aser sheni v'hekdesh shenivdu shenekdesh podeh et ha'hekdesh." And you cannot pay with ma'aser sheni or hekdesh that has been redeemed, because the Mishnah says something consecrated, which was the ma'aser sheni and hekdesh, which were previously consecrated, cannot pay for something consecrated, which in this case would be a terumah that he had eaten. And the Mefarshim explain, before the ma'aser sheni and the hekdesh were redeemed, they were consecrated. One cannot use a consecrated item to pay an obligation because it's the property of heaven. The Mishnah is teaching us that since ma'aser sheni and hekdesh were consecrated at one time, they can never be used as payment for eating terumah, even after they had been redeemed and their sanctity has been removed. The Mishnah says, "Divrei Rabbi Meir." These are the words of Rabbi Meir. The Mefarshim explain, because Rabbi Meir is the one of the Tanaim that holds the ma'aser sheni is consecrated. Not all Tanaim agree with him. This follows the opinion of Rabbi Meir that ma'aser sheni and hekdesh that are consecrated before they're redeemed, even after they're redeemed, you cannot use it to pay back the terumah that you ate by accident, because when it was consecrated, you couldn't use it to pay back. Now it stays the same halakha even after you already were podeh, you redeemed it. V'chachamim matirim be'elu, but the sages allow one to pay with these. The Rav explains, with ma'aser sheni that has been redeemed and hekdesh that has been redeemed, because according to the chachamim, once consecrated produce has been redeemed and lost its sanctity, it is fit for use as payment. And the Rav again points out, the Chachamim disagree with Rabbi Meir only about the cases of ma'aser sheni and hekdesh that have been redeemed. They agree that all the above categories, leket, shicha, pe'ah, ownerless produce, cannot be used as payment. And the Rav tells us, halakha ke Chachamim, the halakha follows the opinion of the sages. That is in Rabotai of Mishnah Hey. Mishnah Vav now is going to bring us a machloket between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva about which species of produce can be used for paying the principal and the fifth. The Mishnah says, Rabbi Eliezer says, Mishalmin mimin al she'eno mino, bilvad she'yishalem min hayafeh al hara'ah. One may pay with one type of produce for a different type of produce, meaning the produce used for payment doesn't have to be the same type as the produce that was eaten. Bilvad she'yishalem min hayafeh al hara'ah, as long as he pays with higher quality produce for lower quality produce, meaning the produce used for payment has to be of a more valuable type than the produce that was eaten. The Mefarshim explain, for example, if someone ate barley, he can pay with wheat. If he ate dried figs, he can pay with dates. Now, even though the value of the dates must be the same, or whatever food you're giving has to be the same value of the dried figs, So then what's the difference if it's yafeh or ra? It's the same value. The Kohen gains by receiving a type of produce that is easier to sell. That's why the Mishnah says, Bilvat shishra min hayafeh ala ra, as long as you pay with high quality produce for low quality produce. The Rabbi Akiva Omer, however, Rabbi Akiva disagrees. He says, En mishalmin ela mimin al mino, one may not pay except with the same type of produce as the type he ate. Lefikach, therefore, Im achal kishuin shel erev shviit, if someone ate gourds that grew in the year before Shemitah and no more gourds remain from that year's crop, yamtin lekishuin shel motzei shviit vishalem mehem, he must wait for the gourds that grow in the year after Shemitah and pay with them, because since he has to pay with the species that he ate and he cannot use Shemitah produce, he has to wait 2 years before he can pay it back, because he has to wait for the gourds to grow again. And the Mepharshim explain that it is forbidden to use Shemitah produce for business purposes, which include paying off an obligation. And the reason Rabbi Akiva specified gourds was because they harden at the end of their season and they can no longer be eaten, so you have to wait now until the next season. The Mishnah tells us that both Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer learned their opinions from the same pasuk. From the same place in the Torah that Rabbi Eliezer learns to rule leniently, Rabbi Akiva learns to rule strictly. Shenemar, what does the pasuk say? The pasuk says regarding the payment for the sin of eating terumah by mistake in Sefer Vayikra, chapter 22, pasuk 13, V'natan lakohen et hakodesh. He shall give the Kohen the holy thing. Rabbi Eliezer says the words "the holy thing" refer to anything that is fit to become holy. Terumah, meaning you can pay with any kind of produce, since all type of produce can become terumah. The Rabbi Akiva Omer, but Rabbi Akiva says, "V'natan lakohen et hakodesh." When the Torah says he shall give the Kohen the holy thing, kodesh she'achal, it refers to the holy thing that you ate. Therefore, you must pay with the same type of produce that you ate. And the Mepharshim explain the fact that the Torah says the holy thing, the Natan LaKohen et HaKodesh, the pasuk is teaching you have to replace the specific type of holy thing that you ate with the same type of holy thing, meaning the same produce. You have to pay back with the same produce that you ate. That is in Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.